Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy edition with a little bit of security thrown in at the end. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you'd like to catch the show live and see the nonsense as it happens. So let's go ahead and dive on into the news. This is an update. We first covered this a while back, but when Bose came out with their new smart headphones, you actually had to create an app. And then for everyone's like, I'm kind of a privacy guy, they're like, here's a link to our privacy policy. And like, okay, congratulations, you're an idiot. Well, they have just finally decided that, yeah, actually, after all this time of requiring people to have the app, probably hurt their business quite a bit, and they've dropped the requirement. So as of now, if that was what was holding you back from getting overpriced, expensive earphones, headphones that were connected with an app, then you had to create an account. Well, you don't have to create the account anymore. So go ahead and spend your life savings on Bose headphones. Although I think I've seen more expensive ones than that. But regardless, they did come out and be like, yeah, there was enough feedback on that we're like, let's just go ahead and get rid of the requirement to use to have an account on the app. So Apple's AirDrop has been leaking personally identifiable information for a long time, and they don't really care. It's convenient. Once again, convenience kills you. So what happened is there are a few different protocols when you're utilizing AirDrop. One protocol is your individual devices, I believe tied to Mac or some other address. The second is with people in your contact list. And the third is opening up to the wide world. And what happened is if you had your AirDrop feature set up to the wide world, then it wasn't just you can share, send or receive files and things. And remember when this first came out, people were sending, inappropriate pics to random strangers on trains because why not? There's 100 people here. You don't know where it's coming from. Anonymous dude sent you a picture. Whoa, I don't want an eggplant like that. So that's kind of what happened. But it wasn't just, hey, making this little connection. There was actually some hashing going on that enables the device that receives the message to grab the information and de-anonymize it. So you could literally, just in some of the default settings on the Apple device, it could actually start leaking all of the data that was going on. And so if you're using Apple AirDrop, make sure that you're probably not, or at least tie it down to your individual devices so you don't have to fight with all of the fact that random strangers on the train, A, that they're not sending you eggplant pictures, or B, that they're not being able to access your personal information. Well, the Kufi Tracer apps, and I told you guys from the very first time ever that they come out, these are coming out, they're amazingly private, and I laughed hysterically, if you guys remember that episode. Well, it does turn out that the Kufi Tracers actually aren't very private at all. And this is not a surprise to anybody out there that takes any of this interesting. So what this is, where the exposure comes from, is actually from logs. Because when you install a new app on your device, then, and this is Apple and Google, when you install a new device, then the logs that these things have are actually accessible to everything on the system. So the Kufi Tracer app will send data into the logs about all sorts of manner of things. And while other apps don't necessarily actively pull that information, they are capable of pulling that information. And so what we end up seeing is a situation where people can come in, the apps can come in, and somebody could probably, now knowing that they do this, they can develop an app that would go ahead, look for the log for this particular device, this particular app, and then start reading data off of it. Turns out that if they had just changed one line in the code, it would prevent this. And for a long time, they weren't doing this although some sources are saying that yes, these fixes are starting to roll out. But anyone who was using the Kufi Tracer apps, and I will remind you that many people were forced to use Kufi Tracer apps, then these things were indeed potentially leaking out private information about all manner of things. And this is exactly what I told you guys was going to happen when these first rolled out. So, hate to say told you so, but guys, but I told you so. And on to our final new legislation wants to mandate driver monitoring technology in every car. What's the number one thing cited? The Tesla crash. Nothing monitors drivers more than Teslas. So if you, okay, apparently this stuff isn't actually helping. So they say distracted drivers claims more than 3,000 lives in the U.S. in 2019. Hey, that's nothing, man. Just don't lick the doorknob. 3 United States senators on Monday proposed legislation that will require all new laws in the United States to have driver monitoring systems within 6 years. Yeah, they're all lefties that are sitting there like, we need to know anything about everybody. Come on. It's insane. So anyway, they recently sent a letter to federal regulators expressing concern about last week's fatal crash in Texas. Nothing monitors drivers more than a Tesla does. Literally. I won't buy a car with driver monitoring data in it. No, not at all. Not at all. It's not clear how the crash wound up, how the car, the Tesla Model S wound up crashing into the nature model tree. But at high speed in a residential neighborhood outside Houston, police reported that neither of the vehicle's 2 passengers was in the driver's seat. One was in the front passenger seat while the other was sitting in the rear seat. That is a very unusual thing to have happen. I don't know. I can guess that one guy got in the back seat. The guy in the passenger seat probably started the assist technology. They probably had to modify the car in some way to make sure that the self-driving would keep working without somebody in the driver's seat, if that were happening. Although Musk says that he says that no, someone was in the driver's seat. And so the police said, all right, give me your data. And they subpoenaed it. And we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting one to see what happens, goes on down. Crash draws more attention to the long-running debate over adding driver monitoring technology. Why? The Tesla monitors all that. It doesn't help. A few car makers have already adopted them, like, for example, Subaru's not buying Subarus anymore because they want to put cameras watching the drivers. No! Where are all those things? I got to put duct tape around all these things in my car. What are all those duct tape for in your expensive new Subaru? All the cameras! Uses driver-facing camera to verify the driver's eyes are focused on the road. Drivers can take their hands off the wheel while Super Cruise is active, but if they stop looking at the road, Super Cruise will warn them and eventually disengage. No. So, Teslas are more rudimentary. Ooh. So the legislation would mandate driver monitoring by 2027. They argued any car with an advanced driver assistance should have driver monitoring. That's to combat the risk that drivers start to trust their driver systems. I have a simple solution. Make it illegal to have driver assistance, because anything that you do to take your focus off of the road makes an unsafe situation for the rest of us. So let's just get rid of advanced driver technologies and abandon the entire idea of self-driving, and let's just go ahead and continue to drive our cars. But how many crashes? Yeah, and then people are always going like, yeah, but how many crashes are on Teslas? All that. Okay, how many crashes? Let's look at per capita. Infinitely higher. Okay, there's like only a few thousand cars on the road capable of driving themselves, and we have a lot of wrecks with them. Compare that to the billions of cars without driver technology. Yeah, it's actually quite a bit safer to have a human driver in the car, believe it or not. And those of us who lived through Windows 95 and experienced the regular daily blue screen of death, we want no part of computers driving us around. No, call me a Luddite if you must. So there we have it. We have some bills coming down to suggest that we all be watched by our cars. How exciting. Well, if you want to help support the channel, you can follow along my list of affiliates. Today we are highlighting Pro Writing Aid. If you need something that will help write your emails or your websites or your books or whatever else you happen to write, Pro Writing Aid is an excellent option. They have a monthly subscription for $20 a month. If you use my discount code, tlm.li/PWA, you can save 20% on the yearly or on the lifetime subscription. They do have some apps as well for LibreOffice also, and I usually use the online system and things like that. So with that, you can find the rest of the affiliates over on the website switchedtolinux.com. Now let's have a look at some security news. So first, this is not security, but I had one article under this topic, and so I want to go ahead and just have an update. The New York Police Department's RoboDog will be returned because people got mad. Well, good. We can mark this as the first and probably only good thing that AOC has accomplished in her term. He became full of wrath. And this became the subject of a city council subpoena after images went viral of a RoboDog saying, yeah, this kind of looks like police militarization. So there we have it, guys. The New York Police Department dog is going back to the pound. So nice little update. All right, on to our security updates. First, ransomware crooks threaten to ID police informants if cops don't pay up. Well, there's some gutsiness right there. Y'all got some gonads of steel. You're trying to extort the police. This is either going to end really good or really bad. FBI investigating claim that hackers obtained 250 gigabytes of police department data. They had a whole lot of data. Other images appear to show person of interest names and photos, screenshots of folder named gangs database, chief's reports, list of arrests, and listing names and addresses of confidential informants. And so they're saying, hey, give us some money. We're going to extort the police, or we're going to tell who your informants are. This is why, guys, we need to minimize the data on the internet. So you say, well, I'm just too paranoid. No, I just know this happens all the time. I'd rather it just not be there. So there we have it. That's brash, though. We're going to extort the police. Wowzers. So there is, Target has a gig economy deal. So this is the Shipped. And the Shipped people got their money shipped out of their account. So scammers hacked the Target's gig workers and stole their money. How'd they pull this off? Well, what they did is they got a hold of what the phone number is that the shipped messages are going to come from. And they spoofed the numbers saying, hey, here you need to reset the password. And then they went back and reset all the password. And then they called back with a number going, hey, we saw the password change, but there's still a problem with it. Manually read me the password. And these morons actually read the password for their account to some idiot over the phone. That right there is called stupid tax. So yeah, just an FYI, I'm pretty sure that Shipped will never call you up and ask for your password over the phone. Just an FYI. But yeah, these people did it. And then what they did is it enabled them to log into the account, add extra bank accounts, and then drain all your money out of your account. So there we have it, guys. We had some theft of money because people were stupid and gave their password to some person who called them on the phone. I didn't think this type of scam would work on the young people, but apparently young people are stupider than grandma. And finally, we have a password manager was backdoored. So this was, mechanism for password state. Compromised update mechanism for password state pushes malware that steals data. So This is yet another service constantly updating itself. Somebody got in there with the secured code. They pushed their way through. They pushed an update that introduced malware, and then they were able to get in there and breach everybody's passwords. Yay! I will remind you guys, do not use online passwords. If you have to use an online one, use Bitwarden, but even then, it would be best if you don't use an online password manager. Use something like KeePass XC or anything else that is offline. Use an abacus and a notebook before in front of your computer before I would use an otherwise online password. Say, well, that's not very secure. Yeah, but you have a much greater risk of somebody trying to hack into your computer and breaching these sites than you do of somebody busting into your house and stealing your book of passwords. Okay, that's my take on it. But you shouldn't use a notebook by your computer. You should, if you're going to use a paper notebook, lock it in a safe nowhere near your computer and just pull it out when you need it. But it's preferable to use an offline password manager like KeePass XC. And I have some videos on that. But anyway, they got in there and they were able to breach through it. They were able to steal any information. And there we have it, guys. There we have it. Passwords breached. And if you'd like to help support the channel, have a look over on Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. If you'd like to help support the channel over there, we have a couple of different channels that we support with that. So you can go ahead and have a look over there. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.